All right, guys, I got some stuff to talk about. And I don't think anyone's going to hear this, but it needs to be heard. And if my phone does not get burned up, we'll do some playables today. So, um, on my downtime, like when I have nothing else better to do, when I waste my lifeless time, if that makes sense, I waste time with scammers that go after victims. So I do my due diligence to waste their time in hopes that a victim is not being a victim, right? That is my ultimate goal, right? Give me a second, guys. Because victims will call people who are allegedly PayPal or allegedly their bank or allegedly Amazon or allegedly Microsoft or Apple, and a lot of victims fall for it. And I know this is not my go-to niche or whatever, but it needs to be heard. And for the 1,400, by the way, 1,400 subscribers, and I am just blown away. I don't know how. I don't know how I got 1,400 subscribers. My jaw is dropped now. It's even gonna be crazier when I get like 25 or something, or even 2,000. But I think my next aha moment is when I'm at like 2,500, right? Anyways, I'm gonna give you guys some advice on what to look for when it comes to scams. And there are so many scams out there, guys. It's not even funny. But there are so many scams out there. It's very sad. It's a very sad world with all the scams that are happening. And here we go. So I don't have a script. I'm not looking at anything. But I'm going to go with the most common one that happens, and that is your typical refund scam. So a typical refund scam is when you're called by Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, um, PayPal, or something like that, or a subscription to a tech service. And you get a call, and they say, not a call, you get a text message. You get a text message, and they say, hey, we're charging your account, you know, $450. And if you want to cancel it, give us a call. And that's what the victim does. The victim will say, all right, I'm going to call this number. I'm going to call this number. Oh, fortunately, no. I'm going to call this number. All right, I'm going to call this number and see what this is all about. So they call the number and they go, thank you for calling support. How may I help you? And then typically the scammer will talk about your account. The victim will give their account information. Then the scammer will wait maybe 1 to 2 minutes. And then the scammer will come back after 1 to 2 minutes. They'll come back to the victim and then they'll say, oh, we noticed on your account that you're going to be charged $450. And the victim will typically say, no, I don't want that service. I never paid for it, or whatever have you, right? It's a renewal or whatever, right? And yeah, they'll just say, no, I didn't agree to that. I didn't cancel it. And then they'll go through their script and say, all right, well, ma'am, sir, we're going to have to go into our security system and go into our database so we can give you the refund. The victim will then go into their computer and then they'll download remote control software. And the scammer will have access to their computer indefinitely unless the scammer figures it out and knows how to remove their stuff. So the victim will download the software, and then the scammer will instruct the victim to log into their bank. If the victim is a target, having an achievable amount of money, right? Um, then um, yeah, then they'll sorry. The scammer will block out their screen, and they'll make it look like they're doing some transaction. Either that or they'll pivot to the command prompt. They'll tell the victim to put in a command prompt, or the scammer might actually do that. The scammer might actually go to the command prompt and go into the CMD command black box, and their system. They'll make it look like the system it's like an AI system. So they'll be doing the refund through quote AI. So they'll be using an AI system to refund the account. So the victim will follow the directions, put in their name, put in the amount, and then what will happen is the scammer will then tell the victim that they added too many zeros. And instead of getting, they'll say something like, "Oh, we're gonna give you, two transactions through our system. So let's say the refund is $500. We're going to give you 250 each time, right? But instead, what they'll do is they'll add an extra zero, or it won't be like an absurd amount, but it'll be like 250,000. Sorry, $250. And then what they'll do is they'll add two zeros, be 25,000. Ma'am, sir, you got 25,000 in your account? That's our company money. And they'll pull a scare tactic on the victim and say they got to immediately send the money back, right? And typically what they'll do is they'll train them. These guys, as much as I despise them, They're horrendous. They're horrible, horrible people, and they deserve no pity at all. I have no pity for these scammers. They're scum, and I have no remorse. They have no remorse. They don't care. They're gonna claim victim. They're gonna claim poverty. They could. There's so many dead end jobs they could take instead of scamming people. So they'll instruct the scammer to withdraw 25,000 from their bank. Or what might happen is like, I don't know, I can't really explain. Like maybe it's like they'll maybe 45,000 sounds like that's a lot, but what I'm trying to say is they'll instruct the scammer to go to the bank, withdraw a significant amount of money. Then they'll instruct them to go to a Bitcoin machine. So that victim will then go to a Bitcoin machine. For those watching, thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate you and every single one of you that's luring in. I am just kind of ranting about how these scam tactics things happen, and hoping that if you have anyone that is getting scammed or has been contacted by Amazon, PayPal, what did you get rid of? Huh? Who are you? I don't want you here. Sorry, you can just come back tomorrow. Okay. So basically, that victim will go in and basically deposit it into a Bitcoin wallet, and it's gone. The money that they deposit is going to be gone indefinitely. Okay, so that's the first scam. So how to avoid it? There's two roads that you guys can use. Okay, There's two roads that you guys can use in regards to um, avoiding this scam. So one, you just hang up and block. Or two, if you know how, you can waste your time. Waste your time is what you can do. Uh, Play victim. The longer you waste their time, the longer it's going to be from that scammer for that scammer to scam another victim. So, um, under under no circumstance will PayPal, Amazon, eBay, Microsoft, Apple, IRS, SSA, they will never, ever call you. They will never call you. Okay? They will never call you from those companies. You are the one to call them. If you're convinced that you're talking to the real PayPal or the real Microsoft or the real Apple, hang up and call the real number and find out for yourself. I'm going to continue this rant. I'm going to pivot a bit because this is what makes me freaking furious. Okay? I'm going to call out the banks. I'm going to call out your local banks, Wells Fargo, Chase, US Bank, whatever bank you bank with, they are scum. And I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why your bank is scum. And it's because they won't do anything. They won't do anything that you report. You know what's happened with Wells Fargo? You want to know what happened? I had a victim that was going to be losing $20,000. I had a number, and I had a name. I think I had a name, and I had a number. And I got in touch. They transferred me to the fraud department, and wasn't able to get a hold of the victim. I forget if I had a name or not. I said I think I have a number. I think I had like a bank. I had a bank account and a number, but it didn't have a name. And all I know is it was linking to Wells Fargo or something of that sort. So they transferred me to the fraud department. They transferred me to the fraud department. And the short story is they just hung up. They didn't give a shit. And pardon my French. They didn't care. Wells Fargo, I'm calling you out. You're a scam. US Bank, I'm calling you out. You're a scam. Chase Bank, I'm calling you out. You are a scam. You guys are scammers. And you're embedding the scammers to steal. You're allowing the scams to happen. Your thing is, well, the victim has to call for us to do something about it. How in the world am I supposed to call a victim that that I'm not able to get in touch with? I forget what it was. I think I had a routing number and a bank account number, but I didn't have a name. I think that's what it was. I think I had the account number and I had the routing number. And they didn't do anything. I said, "Listen, this person's being instructed to take 20,000 from their account to launder to Bitcoin because they think they're paying off Amazon. I'm sorry, we have to hang up on you right now." That was the response. That was what Wells Fargo said. Wells Fargo is a scam. US Bank is a scam. Chase Bank is a scam. Any bank you're working with is a scam. Be lucky they have not taken your money. Be lucky they have not stole your money. Be lucky they have not drained your account because they are a scam. That's just a blunt, ugly truth. Okay? So, under no circumstance will your bank contact you, PayPal contact you, Amazon contact you, Microsoft, Apple. They will never call you. Now, the fraud team will call, and if I'm not mistaken, it will be a direct line to their bank. All right. And then you can talk to the fraud department about whatever situation it is, right? They will do that. All right. Let's continue through the other kinds of scams, I guess, right? Um, so those are the refund scams. Um, Another scam that happens. I have not gone into it, but I've done enough research to kind of be street smart about it. And that is the quote task slash investment scam. Any time or slash romance scam. That's kind of also it too. But you're gonna get a random message from somebody on Discord or somebody on Tinder or somebody on OkCupid or Facebook Messenger or Instagram or Twitter, and then they're gonna sucker you up, and it's gonna be for both victims, both male and female. So the female fake personas will message the vulnerable males, and the fake male scammer personas will message the vulnerable females. And when I mean vulnerable, I mean the ones that are suckered into believing almost anything that they see. So they will warm them up, they'll butter them up. Oh, sweetheart, I love this place. Blah, 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 whatever, right? So, like, they'll just butter you up and they'll get you interested in investing in a fake Bitcoin website that they've cooked up and put together, right? So they'll put together this a website that's just fake, right? And once they put together the fake website, they'll make it look like you're getting money, and you'll they might even cash you out a couple times because their ultimate goal is to get you to put in like 10 or 15,000 at the end of the day, or even 1,000. Or I don't know what's the most they've ever paid out, but typically it's you're gonna put in a couple hundred, you might make 500 back from it, maybe. So they'll make it look like you're winning or make it look like you're getting money back from this investment. And then they, with what's called the pig butchering scam, they'll sneak it all back and they'll completely ghost you. You'll never ever hear from them again. Well, technically you will, but just not from that persona. So any opportunity that you get through SMS, email, random phone call, and they're asking you to invest in some website or something, it's not going to be true. And it also coincides with the task scam where they ask you to do simple task and you'll actually get paid for it. You'll get paid a few bucks, maybe 20, 30, $50 maybe for those tasks. Then they'll get a little bit harder. Those tasks will get harder and more complicated, and it will lead you to another site where you're asked to do more things, and then you end up having to pay money to cash out or something of that sort, right? So they'll ask you to cash out money. You have to pay. You'll have to pay to get your money out or whatever, right? I'm not see any text messages. If you're here watching me, please let me know. Throw the hearts, throw the emojis, whatever you want. I'd love to hear from you if you've ever been a victim of scams, or if you've had family and friends that have been victims of scams. Drop it in the chat. Let me know. Especially if you're watching this live stream after it's been live, I want to know what's happened to you so I can do my best to help you and guide you in the proper direction you got to go. So, as I mentioned this, so the first kind of scam is the whole refund scam with all the companies that pretend they say who they are, but they're not. The second scam is through the investment slash task slash adjacent to the romance scam. I'm going to talk about that in more detail as well. So let's get into the detail of the romance scam. Lots of lonely people out there, lonely men, lonely women out there looking for their soulmate, looking for someone to have that connection with. You're more than likely going to come across someone that is pretending to be somebody they're not. You're going to find the dream profile as a woman to the male profile that you fall in love with. As a male, you're going to find the dream female profile that you fall in love with. Or if you play for the same team, you're going to find that dream profile. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to sucker you up. They're going to warm you up and make you believe that they're the one that you're looking for. And they're going to say anything and everything to get you to believe that they are the real thing. Now, and they're going to suck you up for a good month or two. They might even take it in for a month or two before they dig in. They might just get to know you for it's a very long driven. I mean, there's people that have been in the scam for years, years. I've seen videos where they're in this online romance scam for 5 years. Now I'm going to get into the logistics of what happens now. So these people are even worse. I don't know who's worse actually, but these guys are just worse. They will do everything in their power to take as much money as they possibly can from you. All right. They'll do everything in their power to take as much money as possible away from you. So they'll make up stories. If it's a male, they're working on an oil rig. If it's a female, they're in the army or something, and there'll be stories about them getting kidnapped or arrested, or if they have a kid, their kid's in a hospital, or it's my sister's birthday. Can you send me 200? Can you send me 100? They'll use kids because it's a vulnerable tactic, right? So they'll do that to the best of their, to the extreme. And, or if it's like, oh, I have gold for you and you'll get to keep all the gold bars, it leads to those things. And, oh, it's held up in customs and you have to pay, $25,000 to get it out. That's all you got to pay. But it's a scam. There's no gold. There's no gold. All you're going to get is nuggets out of a mouse's ass. That's what you're going to get. You could get donuts, nuggets. You're not going to get anything from them. So now, here's a cue for you guys. Here's a clue. Romance scams, you literally, under no circumstance, need to believe their excuses if they're unable to have a phone call, if they're unable to video chat, if they're messaging you at odd times of the day, they are ultimately going to be a scam, right? I mean, unless, and don't be fooled. If they call you, they could be using a voice changer. It's that simple. They could be using a voice changer, right? Voice changers are used all the time, right? So, but The real deal is, especially if like you're in the States, they should be able to make an effort, especially if they're looking for like a real relationship or something. Then at the end of the day, you need to decide whether or not you want to talk to some ghost or you want the real deal. If the male or female scammer, hitch or whatever you want to call them, is real, they should have no issues video calling and proving who they are, right? Tinder, Facebook dating, Instagram, X, Babbel, whatever, and you're getting a random girl messaging you or a random guy messaging you, no, it's not going to be true. Um, Adjacent to that, and not really adjacent to that, but aside on that is, especially if you're getting messaged by a celebrity. If you're getting messaged by a celebrity claiming to be who they are, no, they're not. They're not Mel Gibson. They're not George Clooney. They're not the guy from Twilight. They're not Jennifer Aniston. If you think you're talking to the real celebrity, they're not who they say they are. And the way they're going to go, oh, my agent will find out. This is my secret number. No, they're not going to figure it out. I mean, you got to know that they're not real and they're fake. They're fake. Um, those are the three I can think of. There's others as well. Like there's the Discord random request, the wrong number request. All those lead to Telegram. That's another thing too. Zingy, Telegram, WhatsApp. If you're being asked to message him there, it's a scam. With a few exceptions, but it genuinely is a scam, right? So I urge you guys to be careful. I really do. And if anytime you're getting messaged by someone that you think may or may not be real, drop in the comments, message me in the community. Let me know. Let me know who and what is messaging you in my community post immediately. I'll investigate myself. And the sooner the better. Don't get suckered in, guys. Don't get suckered in. The last thing you want to do is get scammed. Okay. Because it can happen to you. It hasn't happened to me yet. Almost happened. Um, yeah. It could happen. I mean, I've talked to many people, but as soon as they, say they're not going to, send a real-time pic or video call or voice call, oh, but maybe she really wants privacy. No, 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 no. You're on a dating app. You better be ready to prove you're real. If you can't prove you're real, then they're not going to be for you. So, yeah. Um, what else, guys? What else? What else? Give me a second, guys. I don't know what else to mention about this category other than the fact that I will say I was very fortunate a couple times. I've contacted a couple police stations. Fortunately, they were right on it, like literally, like um, they actually went to the victim's house, checked in with them. But there was one victim, surprisingly, they checked with him and they said, hey, we think you might be getting scammed. And I think his daughter was showing him that the girl he was talking to was fake or something. I forget. But, the police officer didn't investigate further. I called the victim back and asked him, I said, "Oh, so let me ask you something. Have you been talking to anybody online?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've been talking to her for a bit." And I said, "Okay." Because his information was being used to launder money or mule or whatever. They call 'em money mules. And this is happening in your own country, in the States. It's happening in the US. There's mules all over. And the law is so freaking tight that people can't solve their own problem. And it's up to, I guess, scam baiters or in a sense vigilantes, right? So like it's up to us to prevent them from doing it. And that goes as far as collecting bank details, Bitcoin addresses, um, mailing addresses, like it goes into that. But yeah. That's all I'm gonna say for now. I'll try coming on later in the day and hanging out with you guys. 1,400 guys, subscribers. Thank you so much. Let's make it a 2,500 subscriber and we'll have a party. Love you guys. Peace out.